We're here today to talk about real estate.
Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Unlimited podcast. My name's Sierra Steinmetz.
Bryan Schube.
Kari Steele.
Bill Jones.
And we're the Jones home team.
And this is already episode 48. And what are we getting into, Kari? You're talking about homeowners, unfortunately, maybe pulling their houses off the market. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. Schube, foreclosures. We got a big housing crash. We've talked about that a couple times. So hopefully, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Sierra, what are you doing?
Real estate history rapid fire trivia.
All right.
Ooh.
Is there a prize?
Guess you'll just have to stick around and see.
And I've got a story that just came up here then too. So a home buyer sue a brokerage that alleged steering to a particular lender and all the fallout with that. So kind of fun with that. So,
Spicy.
Schube, why don't we get into that? Is the housing market falling apart?
Yeah.
Are we crashing?
I was going to say, I think there's a photo with that. But so kind of did some homework here and then I guess some kind of data points. So foreclosures are up slightly, but they're still relatively low. Foreclosure starts rose 7% in the first half of 2025, but they still remain far below crash era levels. Only 0.13% of U.S. homes have been affected, so just 1 in every 758 homes had a foreclosure filing in the first half of 2025, compared to 1 in 45 during 2010. So
yeah, that's a big difference.
1 in 758 versus 1 in 45.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a difference. Okay.
Just a little.
Obviously, like we've talked multiple times, the lending standards or the lending practices have definitely gotten a lot stricter than they were in 2008, 2009,
Right.
2010, which is kind of obviously, made it harder to get just financing. They don't just hand it out to anybody anymore.
What a shame.
Right. Yes. Like we talked before, if you were alive, they gave you a loan, basically, is what it amounted to. Or 2 or 3 loans.
I should have been doing more for my second grade classroom.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
My parents should have had me in a loan office. I've been building equity into
actually,
my life.
I'll tell you what, you were there. You just don't
something.
remember it. So I'm telling you, you were there.
I could see Sierra in her little blazer sitting in the corner with a pen, like, right this way, folks.
What can you do for me?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure the one I remember we sat at your old house, the guy came there and you were there. I remember it. So you were part of one of these subprime mortgages.
I've been ready
subconsciously. You've been training for this your whole life.
Record equity obviously still proves a safety net. So many homeowners have more equity in their home than they've ever had. So, if they do fall into a hard spot, you could always refinance your home, pull out cash equity, to make payments.
And that's, I would say, is the biggest thing is that, because we've talked about this 1,000 times, when someone had no money into the house, if it was 100% finance and they had nothing there and they ran into a hard time, what did they care? They walked away. Now, if you have 50% equity or more in a home, well, I don't want to lose that $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. So that's probably the biggest driver of keeping people out of that.
Yep. And the last one, just remember, headlines can be misleading. I know, like we've talked multiple times. The news will try to scare you. Hey, housing stats are down, or up.
Foreclosures have doubled, they've tripled. Yeah.
Well, that's also, you got to remember from, 2008, 2009, 2010, we're still significantly far away from that. And then the picture I kind of get on the screen there.
Where's Ohio? What are we at here?
0.16%. So I think that's percentage of households in foreclosure per state from January to June of 2025. So only 0.16% of households in Ohio have filed for a foreclosure.
So I ChatGPT'd some of that. So 2010, over 2.9 million properties with foreclosure filings. I don't know how many that is today, but it must be significantly less than that. So you think that's almost 3 million more homes that were on the market that were foreclosed on, comparative to, a couple 100,000 probably today. So that's a huge difference.
I was going to say, what's the highest and lowest? That
I don't know. Where do they go into?
Well, Vermont has 0.03.
Yeah. Texas pretty low. I mean, they're all pretty low. Mm-hmm. Nevada, you always hear about Nevada. Yeah, 0.2. Illinois is 0.23. Washington State's actually very low.
A Vegas thing?
Yeah, I see Vegas
Everybody's
and
gambling.
Chicago.
Yeah. I follow a girl on social media who's from Vegas, and she like talks about that a lot. Like as a kid, like so many people would lose their homes because mom and dad were out at the casino all night because they lived right outside of the strip.
So I do have I'm just reading articles, insight on that. A lot of that is just they way overbuilt new construction. So, and that was a problem back in 08, 9, 10 there as well. They're just building homes like gangbusters. So that's a huge problem there, to where they're at the point now where the new construction homes, they have whole developments of homes not selling is part of it. I don't know about Illinois. We talked about Florida then too. That's pretty high, but I think they got smacked on that last hurricane.
Yeah, I would think that has a lot to do with it.
From that then yet too, because there's a one little town down here, and I can't remember what it was, that something canal or whatever, where they're like, but like giving, I mean, people were flocking there, and now they're like basically giving homes away.
Oh,
almost
Cape
again.
Coral.
Yes, Cape Coral.
South Carolina's
that one's
high for.
That
flooding
in
in Asheville. Oh wait, that was North Carolina.
Yeah,
I was saying
actually
Asheville.
North Carolina got hit pretty hard,
and they're only at
I was gonna say Delaware's 23%.
Delaware's pretty high. Which again, I don't know enough about those markets or anything like that. So, but I mean, still relatively compared to, I wish we had a calendar from 08, 9, 10. Right. It was probably like 5% of homes, not 0.2 or 0.1.
Yeah, point doesn't even get me excited. I feel like that's even low, even for just any given situation.
Yeah. I don't have the stats to it then too, but I'm telling you, just like my kids say, back in my day, I mean, it was like half the homes were foreclosure, probably more. It just seemed like a ton of them were. So then, God forbid, you're just normal Sam and Sally seller trying to sell your house, trying to get some equity out of it. You're up against 10 foreclosures in your neighborhood. So how do you possibly get anything out of it? So, yeah, we're nothing.
Again, like we talked about before, I think there's definitely more houses in our market that have been coming on and kind of been sitting a little bit longer, but it's not, like you said, anything near what it once was.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my God, my home's been on the market 42 days. Like it used to be
a year and a half,
270 days,
right.
And that was normal. Like there's nothing even close to what that is.
And honestly, I think too, a lot of the pricing on foreclosure homes is a lot higher than what it used to be.
Yeah.
Like now getting a foreclosure house isn't necessarily like striking a deal like it used to be. I feel like, I mean, still it's a lower price usually than most of them, but I mean they're definitely pricing them more aggressively.
But probably price accordingly. Like usually if it's beat up or needs some work, it's not necessarily just because it's a foreclosure it's cheaper.
Right.
Probably just needs stuff.
I think that's like the common
I've even sold a couple lately where the foreclosure, the bank actually have reinvested money back into the property, putting flooring down, appliances. The one I just sold not too long ago had a literally fully updated kitchen with quartz countertops, a nice bathroom.
The bank did all that then. Yeah.
So I feel like they're trying to also, not only lose their rear, but pull some of that equity out of it too by doing some repairs and selling.
So the banks are house flippers now too then. So that's but too, how many people do we know? We all know investors that are dying for that stuff. They want flips, they want rentals, they want things like that. And I think that'll help prop up those prices for the most part. So, which, the banks doing any work was not, if they kept it from flooding, that was gold for them basically.
Keep the pipes from freezing.
They'd winterize it. Yep. That was a plus because there's plenty of homes that they didn't do that. And it was a big problem. Or you go in and the kitchen's gone, the furnace is gone, the wiring's ripped out of the walls, and good luck with that. All right, so the market's not falling apart. Is what you're telling me?
Not.
Are you going to put your official stamp on that?
I'm not. But.
Yes, I'll put my stamp on that. We've talked about it 50 times now. I don't see how the bottom falls out. Really, anything could happen. Literally, anything in the world could happen. Yeah, so knock on something. But barring any catastrophe or COVIDs or things like that, the underlying recipe is not there for 2008. It just isn't. We've said it 50 times here. I'll say it again.
I just think we have too many people with money waiting for a good opportunity.
Yeah.
I agree.
Absolutely. And as soon as interest rates crack a little bit, I think it's going to bring so many more people online. And we just keep rehashing the same things. But it's true. If you haven't listened before, it's exactly it. All right. So Bryan says no housing crash. Kari, speaking of that, what are homeowners doing with their homes?
I mean, so they're saying, at least they're talking about on Reddit, News Nation, and Newsweek, that people are pulling their houses off the market because sellers have this inflated idea of what they think their house is worth. So they're thinking that they bought their house whenever they bought it, but they saw during COVID and just right past COVID, everything inflated so much. And they're like, okay, it's been, 2 years since the pandemic or 3 or whatever. They're like, I can still get that from my home because I painted the front door and changed out the light. So now they've got it hyperinflated. And so they're not getting what they want. So it's not homeowners are just, the houses aren't selling. Houses aren't selling for more than they need to be sold for, because you've got licensed agents that are knowledgeable that don't want to put our buyers in a position where they're not able to resell come hell or high water. Absolutely. They have to resell in a year or 2 years, whatever, for jobs or kids or whatever, that they're not stuck with that overinflated house price. So.
And the buyers are knowledgeable too. I mean, they're not dumb. I mean, they have most of the same data we have. I mean, a lot of times, how many times you show up to a house and they've looked at their Facebook page and they know the neighbors and they know everything. The last 7 homes that have sold in the right in the neighborhood. So the buyers aren't dumb.
And the part that frustrates me the most, and I think all of you guys can say the same, is you can be in the same neighborhood, but you're completely different on price, because that house has new wiring, new roof, new floors, new everything, and this person painted the outside of their house and put up a fence, and now they think, well, that house and my house are the same, but your roof is literally
you have a 27-year-old roof.
Yes. And while it might be very nice and it's clean and it's well maintained, everything in here is from 1987, and these buyers that are looking for that price point are looking for houses like that, not overinflated, because they're going to have to come in and do stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And that goes, I think, to the heart of, are they wanting to sell, or do they need to sell?
Yeah.
Am I just throwing it out there? I hear these numbers are huge. I'm going to throw the house on the market and see what happens, or are they actually really wanting to sell the home?
I think you're right. I think the reason that people are taking it off the market is because they hyperinflated it, thinking they're going to walk away with this huge, chunk of change to be able to go to Vegas. But really they don't have to sell. And so they're like, oh, well, we'll just try the market again next spring or whatever.
Right.
So.
And that goes into like the pricing of the home then too. Like, you want to sell, you're trying to sell. And I guess I just heard somebody talk about aspirational pricing, I think is what it is then. So instead of just saying, I'm going to set it high, like, you're not setting it to the market. It's for a unique home. Like we got that one, something crazy just that's normally in the market. You can't have comps. You don't know. You have no idea. So, okay, we'll just set an aspirational price. We'll test the market at this. But if you're just normal house 123 Main Street, with everything you just said, it's the same as every other home. Why is your home suddenly worth more? Why should it be worth what it was 2 years ago?
Mm-hmm. And they've done nothing to it. And it's got the history to prove it, because like you said, people aren't dumb. They can go online and see the last time it was sold, how much it was sold for, what work was done. Like, oh, they did all this work in 2010, and now this new seller is has only used it, only been there 2 years, and trying to pull that. Oh, I did this, and this, but they didn't.
Yeah, it was done beforehand.
Yeah.
And they bought it at a fraction of the price that they're asking now. So what did they do to bring it up to that? Yes, the market inflated, but not by that much.
Yeah. Right. And that's one of those too. They act like, what should I do? Like, is spring the best time to sell when you're trying to get this big number? No, the time to get that number is 2 years ago.
Yeah, right.
It was not waiting till spring. It was the market just isn't what it was. So
Realtor.com says that 81% of home sellers think they'll get asking price or more for their home.
Right.
So that's pretty.
Well, if you price it right, I agree.
I was gonna say, if you price it right, you will get your asking price or more. But if you overprice it, then that number is. So I guess that
the difference. You think the difference between that and 100 is, people just thinking they are.
Because how many homes still sell almost immediately?
Price.
You know what I mean? That if it's priced right and it's a decent
it's what people
place,
want,
and it's what people are looking for, it's gone immediately.
Mm-hmm.
But not all homes are that though.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll always have the sellers too that are like, oh, let's just start higher and see what
happens. Every seller.
Then we can negotiate down.
And every buyer says, can we wait till the inspection and then rip them apart and come down $20,000? It's like, that's not, yes, you have negotiation power, but you can't just come in over asking and then destroy the number just because you got it. Like, just because you got, unless stuff turns up that was not seen.
How many times have we received an offer where it's one thing, we negotiate and it comes to another price, and then all of a sudden magically they do the home inspection and we're back at that number.
The light switch needs changed, 20,000 off. Right back to where my immediate offer was, my first offer was.
Light needs changed.
Yeah, just it's crazy. So,
and I've been telling my buyers that, like, you see the crack in that wall, you see that GFCI needs to be changed, you see that, so we're not going in with this offer knowing that when that inspection comes back and those things are flagged, you're going to start bitching about it because those things you can see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what the
and we
inspection's
talked
for.
about when we were walking.
And that's why
through
it's
the house.
priced where it's at. The agent who listed it most likely knows what they're doing too, and took those things into consideration when they're pricing it. So I love the buyers that walk in and immediately think, no matter what, we're going $25,000 less. Just because.
Yeah, I'm just coming in less no matter what. Then.
The 1987 mindset.
That's one of those. Okay, well, I guess you're not getting the house then.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about doing that offer, like the meme of the little girl crying. You're writing the offer knowing you're going to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, okay, there's 5 offers. What do you guys want to do? Oh, 20,000 less. Okay.
Oh, great.
Yes. Perfect.
That was my weekend in a nutshell.
Yes, for sure. So I think we probably will see some of them homes that don't have to sell come off the market, and some people that do have to sell, unfortunately, I think are going to have to just come to terms with what the market is.
Yeah.
It just, buyers aren't dumb like we talked earlier. They're going to know everything about the house. They're going to know the market. They still want a deal. Buyers want a deal. Sellers want as much money as they can, and can you meet in the middle?
And I did too want to point out a lot of that it's nationwide numbers, but they're pulling a lot from like California, Florida, places like that. So nationwide, that's hard because even statewide markets vary so much, or countywide for that point.
Which I haven't pulled the numbers here or Findlay either in a minute. Then how many homes haven't sold or have gone expired? But I mean, I feel like still most of them sell.
Maybe just a couple. I can't imagine it being a huge number.
No, I mean it's not like it was back in it as one of our lead gen things. Call all the expireds. There just isn't that many expired.
0.16%.
Yeah, there's not that many that are coming off the market or expiring. They are having to adjust price if it's not selling.
There's definitely some price adjustments happening.
It's Tom Ferry say if it's not compelling, it's not selling. It has to be compelling in some fashion. So, all right, cool. So I guess we'll put a pin in that then. We'll have to kind of see what those numbers do. And going back again to rates, I think if rates adjust, it's back to the races again. So, all right, Sierra, we'll save your trivia here. I'll read through we'll end with the trivia here. How about that? I got a fun little one. Okay, so I'm going to put my broker hat on. So if I did this to you guys, I want your reaction. So I don't think you've read this story. So home buyers sue a brokerage they allege steered them to a lender. So imagine I'm this broker, and I texted, we use Slack, but I Slacked you guys all a message, and I said, and probably I'll put it in a mean tone or a harsh tone because that's probably what it's coming from. So, every time you guys recommend your friend's lender is taking money out of the company's pocket, everything goes to Corey Walker. Well, I'm going to put these people on blast because I think this is all ridiculous. So I don't know who Corey Walker is. He might be the best guy in the world. I have no idea. He works we'll get to that then too. Please, I cannot stress this enough that if I see you recommending your friend lender instead of Corey, I cannot keep sending you leads because at that point you're taking money out of the entire company's pocket.
Oh.
So how would you feel if I sent a message like that?
Really bad.
Yeah. And we got a screenshot.
I'd probably just call you out on it.
I can't even believe someone would put that in writing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's full, like there's a screenshot right there. You can see is what it is then too. And again, I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody.
Who hearted the message?
Yeah, somebody gave it a heart. So I don't know if Corey's in this thread or not.
It's a pretty big group there.
Yeah, I think they have like 30 agents. So we'll get into some details here, kind of what that is. But no, I just what your reaction? I mean, that would be if I were an agent, I got a message like that from my broker, I'd be like, dude, this is not.
Yeah.
That's not legal.
Yeah,
it's not
that's
right.
Not how.
I would simply not be responding to that.
You wouldn't give me a heart? No. Thumbs down.
I
would do the double question mark thing.
Yeah.
Like what the actual.
The double exclamation point. What's going on here. So I mean, this is all in the news. It's whatever. So home buyers sue this brokerage. So that's what I feel bad. These, it's not even just let's make this good for the company. These buyers were getting put in a bad spot then too. They were getting loans that weren't in their favor then. So I don't know these people. So North Carolina Real Estate Brokerage is accused of requiring its agents to send their clients to a mortgage lender that was picking up half of the monthly digital marketing expense. So being a legal kickback for how it's not, I guess, technically illegal. You can do what they call like, what was it, JA, like the junior partnership. I don't know what. You can do partnerships with title companies, lenders, warranty companies, things like that. Yeah, and we do stuff like that, but it's all disclosed. I mean, we have a disclosure that's in there, and we're not giving them just one. Here's at least 3 most of the time. So Raleigh Realty and Cross Country Mortgage are accused of, and again, they're being accused of. Nothing's been settled yet, but it sounds bad. So, in 6 separate lawsuits for basically pay to play. Again, it would be a RESPA violation. So these homeowners who filed the suit say they paid a higher interest rate and discount points on their loans than if they would have shopped around going with this lender. Gosh. So there's a co-marketing agreement between Riley Realty and Cross Country Mortgage, also circumvented by the lenders. So Cross Country Mortgage, internal company policy. I'll kind of get into this. So he basically just took it above like their accounting department then and went straight to like whoever the upper management was at Cross Country, which circumvented the RESPA rules then. So this new lawsuit brought on behalf of the home buyers by one of these law firms involved in 2022 uncovered some of the following. These allegations center on a 2021 co-marketing agreement in which Raleigh Realty was, they use a lot of big words here, ostensibly, thank you, I can't read, to provide web marketing services for Cross Country Mortgage and to be reimbursed $15,000 a month. But the lawsuit claims that Riley Realty was actually expected to send home buyers exclusively to Cross Country Mortgage. So that's the big thing then too. So there was an expectation of, there's this co-marketing thing, but you had to send leads, and it gets into the specifics. So in that group chat I just read to you, it cited, a RESPA lawsuit. So this owner, Ryan Fitzgerald, allegedly complained to the agents that the firm was not sending all of their business to Corey Walker at Cross Country Branch in Raleigh. According to the lawsuit, Fitzgerald had started a discussion with Walker, his supervisor at Cross Country, executive, a lot of names here, but you can read the article. So this is talking about circumventing their internal rules. So under the terms, in April 12th, 2021, this co-marketing agreement with Cross Country Mortgage and Raleigh Realty were to split a $30,000 monthly bill for services that Page One Power LLC, I don't know who that is, a digital marketing company specializing in search engine optimization. So a lot of times what a brokerage will do, they'll start a separate LLC, just to kind of try to get around that. Like, well, you're not paying me, you're paying this digital marketing company then, which is then owned by somebody involved directly with the transaction. So, however, in reality, the I can't say the word. I should be able to remuneration.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a new one.
Yeah, that's a new one here. Agreed upon in advance that the marketing service was simply window dressing created for plausible deniability. So there was downturn in referrals. They had to meet a minimum expectation of 15 deals a month, and then they were threatening to cut off that amount of that $15,000 they were spending. So it goes on and on and on, but getting to how the buyers were hurt. So one of the couples said that they were forced to pay almost a $1,000 loan origination fee and also almost $4,000 in discount points on their mortgage. Despite paying these discount points and that fee, it was still 0.75% higher than what they could have got somewhere else.
That's messed up.
So they're listening. So they trust their agent. Hey, what's the best place to go? Oh, you got to go to whatever dude's name was. Corey. Old Corey, can't beat him. Well, obviously you probably could beat him because he's charging you more money for a worse loan. Yeah.
And how do you know, like, the agents are supposed to know the loan products, but they change all the time. Even the banks don't even know what loan products they have sometimes because they're like, oh, this is a new, just came out,
right.
So how are we supposed to steer when we have no idea what loan or so
what their programs are?
If we're really representing our buyers the right way, we're giving them the option to say, hey, rate shop, and not only rate shop, but look into closing costs and what their fees are, because this one might have a really great product on paper, but then you get your closing cost and they're $10,000.
Yeah, you look at the bottom line.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's several other people. So they're saying that over the course of 5 years, cost them also an additional $70,000. So lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit here. Yeah. So
I feel like once more people start hearing about that, there's going to be more than just that.
Just those few then too.
But then also too, depending upon who the buyers are, the buyers might only have an option to go to that particular. So there are not devil's advocate here, but there are circumstances where the buyer can only get qualified for one of those high closing cost loans where they would have never been able to buy a house elsewhere. So it's literally up to the buyer to do their due diligence. We're just realtors.
Which we do have that. I mean, that happens here. There's some people that they probably shouldn't be buying a home, but there's probably a lender somewhere that can make a deal happen for them. Should they do it? Maybe not, but that's for them to decide, I guess. But
we're just here to sell them a house.
This one, I don't like putting people on blast, but this one just really it hit me wrong. I don't like that, where a broker would take that to, you guys, the agents, and say, look, you
do it or else.
Have to do this. Or, I mean, it's one thing too, just to, encourage somebody to do something. But if I'd say, Kari, you're no longer getting leads if you don't do X.
Yeah, you're single-handedly taking food out of this person's. Okay, well, if I don't sell a house, who's looking out for me?
Right. Exactly.
Because if you don't give me the leads, now you're doing the same thing to me that you just did to him. So I don't get it.
Yeah. No, it's nuts. And the worst part was the people getting basically taken advantage of. So, and again, maybe all this is just hearsay and it's all garbage. But if it's on here, I can't imagine that it's that many people suing. And if they're looking at other, lenders, what they could have offered. Yeah,
everybody's suing everybody for everything.
Well, I think I don't like suing anybody for anything, but I think this is rightfully so to where, if you're being taken advantage of, that's not okay. So, especially when they're looking to us, we're supposed to be their trusted advisor. We're supposed to, if we literally have a fiduciary duty to our client,
correct,
to put their best interest first, and this is not that, not even a little bit. So, we will not be doing that as a brokerage. So, all right. Well, I'll link the article. So, if you don't like the article, I guess talk to Inman. They'll take care of that then. So, don't do that, brokers. That's not okay. All right, Sierra, give us some trivia.
Okay. Pull up my answer sheet here.
Hold on, I gotta pull up mine too.
Right. Okay, we'll do these kind of rapid fire.
Okay.
Just to round out the episode. All right. And you can just, if you know
the
answer, shout it
out.
2. Yeah.
Porcupine.
What if we don't know the answer?
Try it and pretend you do. Okay, ready?
Yep.
What year was the National Association of Realtors founded?
1971.
Nope.
1961.
Way
Schube.
earlier.
Way earlier?
1932.
Nope.
How about, I'm going to guess 1908. Is that right?
Did you cheat? I was like, there's no way that you
This isn't fair.
I mean, just a wild guess.
Disqualified from the gift.
Oh, was I right?
Yeah, well, lucky for you, what you have pulled up, I don't have them in that order.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, keep cheating over there.
Keep cheating over there.
Okay, yeah, ready?
Yep.
What year did the U.S. officially ban housing discrimination based on race? If you know recent world history,
million.
this is
but I've had a million CE classes on this, and I should know
we should
it.
know.
It's been drilled in my head.
Or 60s.
It has to go along with a lot of other coming to racism and civil rights.
65.
Like that. Close.
66.
69.
Nope.
60.
Nope.
I don't know.
64.
71.
68.
68. Okay, you were close.
I was off by a year.
Yeah.
All of those civil
That
rights
makes
acts
sense.
were passed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which we'd probably fail our real estate test is what that just told us right now if we had to retake that immediately.
We have our books. They're under our desks.
And just to be clear, what I always tell people is we should know the laws, we should know the years and things like that, but just be a good person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Should we know the year? Great. But, if you're just not, if you're doing your job and doing it right, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. Okay. Which U.S. president signed the Fair Housing Act into law? So who was president?
Yeah, if you know who president was.
Oh, man.
That wasn't.
I don't know.
I have an answer, but I'm going to look I'm going to look like an idiot if I
was
answer
it George Washington?
Edmund would be so disappointed right now if I answered anything other than
screaming.
Yeah.
I'll say LBJ.
Yes.
Yes. Nailed it.
Yes.
Yes.
Nailed it. Such a cheater.
I don't have it on here.
It's on your computer.
It might be. I don't know. I only looked at the first one.
Uh-huh.
I promise I did.
Okay.
Why is your
He's
face
been
turning
studying.
red?
I just chatted because I was in the sun all weekend. That's why.
Right. Okay. What 2000s era real estate term became infamous for risky lending practices?
What we were just talking about, probably 2000.
What term?
No, what term?
Not mortgage crisis. I don't know.
Predatory lending?
Similar. You're in
because of the subprime loans and things like that.
Yeah,
subprime mortgages.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yep. Which isn't a thing anymore. I don't think it's even possible. So.
Yeah, I wasn't super familiar with that. Who typically handled property transactions before the rise of real estate agents in the early 20th century?
Probably lawyers or attorneys.
It's got to be attorneys.
Yep,
yeah.
attorneys and landowners directly. Which U.S.
Can you imagine those deals? Oh, those had to have been just
probably took
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything nice to say. Which U.S. city experienced one of the first major real estate booms in the 1920s?
New York.
1920s.
I'm thinking Texas Gold Rush.
I know, I'm
but
thinking
that's
Gold
way
Rush.
before that, probably. So,
it's a big city, though.
San Francisco.
I'm gonna guess
Los Angeles.
California or
East
Florida. One of them. I don't
Coast.
know. Florida. Okay.
Miami.
Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
Miami.
Nailed it.
What year was Zillow founded?
Oh, God.
1981.
Nope.
No,
I said with such
know
confidence.
It's way newer. I mean, it's only like
2014.
I mean, it's only
No.
like 15 years
Older
old.
But
than
every
or
time I
something.
think
Yeah.
that, it's always way older.
yeah,
Like every time
really
I think
not,
it's
Zillow
modern.
hasn't been around that long.
Longer than
I'm gonna say
longer than I thought.
It was
15
around
years,
when it was around
so
when I was looking.
2010.
I was
bet-
6.
Yeah, I bet before that.
They caused the real estate crash.
Yes. So yes,
Shit,
isn't
maybe.
that funny? They just got started, and yeah, everything went
Maybe.
to pot right after that.
Wow.
I
Shout
don't
out
think
to
it-
whoever stuck behind them.
I
through
don't,
that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think it caught on that fast though.
Which technology revolutionized real estate marketing in the 90s?
Fax
The
machines.
internet, like World Wide
Internet
Web.
and online listings. Yep.
So that was again back in my day, old timer. Like
in my
when
day.
I started, it really wasn't too far away from the books. Like that were
Yeah.
we talked about that in one episode where you had to
'Cause
go
you're
to.
ancient.
I know, right?
But
You
those
had
were
to-
great. Let's be honest.
No, it was awful.
I
It was
always I was on
terrible.
the consumer side, so
Yeah.
I thought it
Oh,
was great.
God, it sucked.
Other than you call and it's been sold for 3 months. But
Yeah, so
beyond
you don't
that,
know. And the agents didn't know and
Where the books were
Oh my
and-
lord, it was just stupid. So
boy.
yeah, going and pick up keys. We talked about that before. Showing time has ruined. I mean, it's made it fantastic, but if you were experiencing that time, it's ridiculous. So showing time, all the access, the MLS, knowing all the listings. So sorry, side.
And thank goodness for it.
Yeah. Well, what's it going to be? So that wasn't that long ago. So 10, 15 years from now, what's it going to be?
Right.
the little drone
Back to the
flies
attorneys.
in and
Yeah, just
George Jetson
just-
on the
Just
screen.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
goes right back to you've let yourself in and call an attorney.
Okay, 2 more. What decade saw the biggest suburban boom in U.S. history?
Suburban
Suburban
boom.
1950s.
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've no.
Yeah.
I was
After
thinking
World
probably
War-
after World War II.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
When everyone came back home. Last one. Which American city had the first official zoning ordinance?
Zoning.
Had to be a big city. San Francisco, New York, Chicago. One of those had to be.
Final answer.
Oh God.
New
So it's
York.
one of those.
That's New York.
Let's go New York. New York.
Yeah.
Final
New York.
answer.
New York City.
Okay.
You watched her eyes.
1916.
You saw the eyebrows go up.
All right. Cool.
that's
So who
okay.
wins?
Everyone's a winner in my
Oh.
heart.
Yay.
Sweet.
I'm pretty sure I nailed 1908. I think I deserve a prize. So
We all get $500 Amazon gift cards.
perfect.
Yeah,
Thanks, Sarah.
let's go.
Spark card. Give it
No. That's off
Kurt needs
limits.
a new couch.
Yes. All right.
card.
So what's the moral today? The housing market's not falling apart.
We need to do our research on real estate history.
Yeah, we need to
Study
CE,
up.
more
sharpen
CE.
that up then too. So yeah, that's up. And yeah, don't single-handedly pick out one lender to
No.
make your people go to and pay terrible rates.
Yeah, don't
so.
force your
Price it to
agents
sell,
do
not to sit.
Yes, yeah,
Amen.
get it priced right and go from there. So all right, that's episode 48. We will see you guys next time. Make sure you like, subscribe, and we will see you on episode 49.
Let's go.
That was fun.